Welcome to Mentalk Ubuntu podcast. This is the end of season 1, and we wanted to thank you for joining our community. Each and every listen, like, share, and subscription supports our aim of promoting positive perceptions of Black men and mental health. We've been humbled and overwhelmed by the support, interaction, and messages that we've received throughout, and hope to keep bringing you more valuable content. To round off season 1, myself and Rae would like to pose a few questions to ourselves to tell you about how it all started and how it's all going to keep going. So to begin with, on a scale of 1 to 10, Rae, what was your mental health like when we began season 1 versus now?
Wow, what an amazing question. I always find these questions very intriguing. So the beginning of Mentalk, I would say that there's always a phrase I use all the time: outstanding but always improving. Because no matter where I am on this scale, I am always improving. So the beginning of this journey, I would say my mental health was most probably a 4.5. Having Mentalk and the community, us embarking on a journey, so searching, understanding my mental health and understanding within the mind there is a mind, and understanding who I am, what's created me in the past, and knowing that notion of you don't know who you are until you know where you come from. As much as I was born in Africa, I'm not Africa because Africa was born in me. And as time has gone on, especially at the beginning, I didn't know my identity in so many different ways. I've done a lot of soul searching. I've been on a lot of journeys of myself and also other people in terms of mental health. And hearing all these stories that really resonated with me, and more importantly, understanding what it means to be a man and know that it's okay not to be okay. Understanding what vulnerability is, understanding how much power and strength and powers are within me for me to excel and also see my future history. Now, I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, in terms of my mental health, I'm outstanding but improving. you know, I'm living life. I'm happy. I am surrounded by amazing people who are going or have gone through everything that I've either gone through or things I can resonate with. On a scale of 1 to 10, I would say I'm an 8, outstanding but always improving. And there's always going to be peaks, truffles, and things like that, speed humps. But nonetheless, I've got a community to help and support me. And I also have family, friends, loved ones, and I help them back. We lean on each other, listen to each other, lead each other. So Shaimenda, same question to you, you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your mental health journey been like from the beginning of season 1 up till now?
It's fascinating because I would say I was roughly at where you were at a 4.5, although it may not have seemed that way. And some of the struggles and challenges that led me to say give myself that score still remain. But it's been a unexpected and just unknown territory that's brought a lot out of me that I didn't know was there. It's created an immense sense of pride that helped me come out of it, and an embracing of more of my heritage, to be honest, that I hadn't really done for quite some years or even thought about. Connecting with more Black men specifically, and yeah, having these deeper discussions really, really helped me. It all came at a time when I desperately needed this, to be honest. And So I started at about a 4.5 as well. And not like I was like that every day, or it doesn't mean I was completely down and every day, but at that point when we started doing some of these recordings, yeah, I was quite at a low place, I would say. The challenges were getting the better of me. And I don't necessarily say that I'm outstanding but improving. I tend to say that I'm better than I deserve. Because I feel like we all really do have multiple opportunities, and every day is a new opportunity, and we should make the most of it as best we can. It's helped me learn to just appreciate every day. I appreciate the grind, I appreciate the work, but to really just appreciate every day and appreciate myself more. Right now, I'll put myself up at a 7.5, leaning towards an 8, a 7.5, leaning towards an 8. And I think that's a good place to be. I've definitely, whatever bag I was carrying with all sorts of things, sharing them with other people, it literally felt like that. Having a load taken off my back by giving it bits of it to someone else has been uh, amazing, challenging to do. Opening up, and sometimes opening up without a need to fix things or have a solution. It can seem irrational almost. What would be the point of telling you how I'm feeling or what I'm going through if we're not going to solve it? I don't fancy talking about it. Like, I'd rather talk when we have a solution or I have a solution. And it's deepened a lot of my relationships with family and friends. And I can't thank, I guess, Mentalk Ubuntu enough for that. So I think when I think about where I might be when we start season two and potentially come to the end of season two in the future and work on more things, my only aspiration or hope for that is to maintain the 7.5, for example. I'm not necessarily saying I want to hit a 10 out of 10. I don't want to necessarily go back to a 4.5, although, won't lie, some days still get to me. But yeah, 7.5 and above is good. I'm in a good place. I'm in a good space thanks to being involved with Mentalk Ubuntu. And I feel better than ever. But let me ask you, Ray. We talk about Mentalk Ubuntu and people tune in and they listen in and they've heard a couple of the episodes, you know. So I suppose one of the real questions is, how did the actual Mentalk Ubuntu philosophy come about? You know, what's at the heart of all this? Like, what happened, fellas? That's what people, I think, are asking. What would you tell them?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to highlight this because a lot of the time people say men talk and they can't, quite pronounce the second part of it properly, but it's not their fault. It's one of those, but we'll get in there. But yeah, this basically all started last year, 2020 to be exact, where we all sat down and had that light bulb moment of what we needed as black men. And in previous podcasts, you've heard a lot of this towards the end, where we ask a fire question, and it goes back: what do you wish more men spoke about? Hence why it's called Men Talk, because we need more men to basically talk, break the stigmas, build and solidify bridges for us to connect, relate, build each other, listen to each other, learn from each other, lead each other. So that was the Men Talk aspect of it. And as we can see, there's two parts of it, and it was a community that built the actual name and built the foundation. I'm going to leave the second part to you, Shymenda, to explain that. Please go ahead. Let them know, what does Ubuntu mean? Where did it come from? How did it start?
For sure. I mean, the concept goes back, it predates both of us and, probably all of us, right? And the interesting part is it was birthed from a discussion I was having prior to us talking about Men Talk. I've been talking with my dad, we're quite close, and he was sharing this story, or the very idea. He'd heard it as a story that he really loved. And It's to do with, say, this, I think it's a anthropologist going to a tribe somewhere in Africa, if you will, and he saw all these kids playing and having a fun time, and he handed them a bowl of sweets to see how they would react. And I don't know if there were enough sweets for everybody, but when you especially over here, shall we say, if you're dealing with kids, it's like Halloween, everyone for themselves. Like everyone would rather grab a handful and leg it and let me eat and enjoy. And he said the strangest thing happened when he handed them the bowl of sweets after they were playing. They grabbed the bowl and everyone gathered round and everyone took a sweet. And they waited until everyone had a sweet before they ate. That would have meant if someone didn't, they probably would have broken one, shared it somehow. And he was perplexed by this because he said, if you normally give children sweets, they just gobble them up as quickly as they can. It's like probably like that marshmallow experiment. And he asked them, why did you do that? How come? And the response was essentially Ubuntu. I am because you are. And the mindset, the philosophy, the approach is I can't be happy and have my sweet if my friend over here doesn't have one. And that feeling of I can't be happy and overcome my challenges if I can see my friend over here has challenges changed everything for me. And when you spoke about Mentalk Ubuntu the following time, well, we spoke about Mentalk initially and this idea of it's challenging for us, but we should talk about what we're going through. We need to try and help other people do the same, not in a way of promoting it out there, but just to make sure that they're okay, to help them get okay when they're not. Really just resonated, and it seemed like a perfect match. Like we want men to talk and we want this idea of a community. We say men talk, but it's open. Obviously, women need to talk as well. Young people who aren't yet men need to talk as well. I want to say older people who might be old men need to talk as well. And it's all encompassing. But part of it was also this frightening statistic about suicides and Black men of a certain age dying, being the highest in the category. And us approaching that age and that very real realization that what we thought were feelings or things we could dismiss, experiences we could dismiss, might be to our detriment if we did. Like when I then started to realize a conversation could save a life, I really bought into more what we were trying to do and wanted to make sure we could just have to show that people, it's okay to have these conversations and just to try and reach out either to us or to some of the other people in your life. I think that's ultimately where the Mentalk and Ubuntu joined.
Amazing. So last but not least, what would you say has been your mental health vulnerability challenges in the past 12 months?
Ooh. For those listening, we didn't know this final question, just like we throw curveball questions to everyone. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll be candid.
Strip the bandage.
There's been a few. Yeah, there's been a few. I could even do a top 3 and it won't touch. One of the hardest ones, I try and be a bit, so it's been twofold. If you're listening and you've heard some of the previous episodes, I referred to, working with counselors or anything like that, having that experience last year. And that idea of recanting, recollecting, and sharing with someone some of the thoughts you've had when you're in a very low place was extremely challenging. I would normally snuff that out, fix it, go out for a jog and get over it. And to have to share that, to be that vulnerable with someone and share your weakest, lowest moment with someone was extremely challenging. And I thought it was over, but what happens is you then almost the counselor won't be there for you every day of your life. The people who are in your life will. And you have to trust them enough, or you have to find those people in your life who you feel confident enough in that you could share them with this and they will help you through it, or they will try and understand it. And just the fact that you're comfortable enough to share that information with them will help you a great deal, and you will not feel as alone. And it takes courage, some courage to do that. And I had to do that with some of the people closest to me. And it made me question the depth of our relationship and what I really thought about them. Because if I can't share this with them, well, what does that say about us? And even to be honest, even with Ray, it's not like, I know we come across well and everything, but to open up about what's really, really going on in my head, in my heart, that was, yeah, it was challenging. And it's gradual. Don't have to give everyone the whole cake. You can give them a piece at a time. But those conversations have been the most challenging. And having shared the conversations, keeping people aware of how you feel if you dip, or knowing that they'll be aware if you have a dip. Yeah, because I usually, should we say, I fix myself. I carry on. I do things myself, and that having to keep people having a line to just how I'm doing. It's one of the most beautiful things ever. It's like walking at the tightrope of life and having a safety net, rather than feeling like I can't fall off, because you just can't. There's no other option. So I keep walking the tightrope, and I'm reassured that there are people who are the safety net. The more people I tell, the bigger my safety net gets. But I don't go around telling everybody. But those conversations have been very challenging for me personally, because they're not something that I've really done in the past. And funnily enough, Ray, we're starting to think alike. We must be hanging out together too much. I was genuinely going to be asking you, what has been your greatest challenge in the past year? And please be as specific as possible.
I would say the biggest challenge for me goes in line with an African proverb that says, until the lion has its own stories, the hunters will always have the best stories. So essentially, I've always seen myself as a lone wolf, lone ranger, and I've always dealt things in my own way. Um, and as a result, people have paid the price. And at the same time, equally, I've paid a bigger price because there's been things that have been unresolved or unleft, or I haven't handled certain situations in the best of manners, should we say. And I've always been a person that I keep myself to myself, my stories, my struggles and issues to myself. Um, so I would say, as much as Mentalk has been there, as much as, you know, I'm having these open conversations about vulnerability, about fear, about rejection, about past traumas, about all sorts of things. I still have these tendencies I'm still trying to unlearn to, like you said, have that bigger safety net to know that I can, trust the people around me. And as time has gone on, I've learned to put down the heavy armory that I used to wear, when really and truly, the people in the community around me, the ones I can openly share and talk to about my struggles and strifes, they lighten the load for me. I lighten the load for them. And it's also that saying of an army of sheep led by a lion can also, defeat an army of lions led by sheep. So essentially that's pretty much life now. Before I was, you know, I was in a position where, how can I put this? Visually, if I was to visually kind of say, what has been my struggles is not being able to vocalize the way I kind of vocalize, not being able to be vulnerable. And if I put it in a visual kind of stance, it's like a hurricane. In the hurricane, there's so many moving parts. However, when you're right in the middle of it, the stillness, that is the place where you're centered and have so much more control than being out of control on the outside of it. I've managed to basically put myself right in the middle where there's silence, no matter how much craziness is going around me. Around me, my mind, and my mind is always firing cylinders all the time, even in moments of silence. Me and my mind are creating a better relationship. And it's ensuring I'm becoming a better person. I'm not perfect, I'm far from perfect. But at the same time, I'm learning from everyone. So, yeah.
Yeah, that saying of still waters run deep really comes to mind. And we could examine all sorts of takeaways we've had from our guests, but just like anyone listening, you'll know that there's far too many and we need like a whole day.
Oh,
And what I want to say as well, thanks for sharing as always, bro. And the main thing I'd like to say to the people listening is just a big thank you. Thank you so much. We've not done this before. We didn't know where it was going, how it was going. A lot of the guests who've come on board have just been really trusting of us and that we have the right intention. And it's been just the most astonishing feeling and experience with every listen. Because for me, the idea was when I was at that 4.5, I just want someone listening who might be at the 4.5 to hear what we're saying and feel like they can get out of that and they can potentially reach out to someone else because a hand out of that will help. Um, yeah, just it was humbling to know that people were resonating with some of the points being made. It was humbling to have people place their trust in us. And it was just humbling to be able to take some of these pieces of advice for myself as they were helping me through what I was going through as well. So I genuinely just hope we can continue to do that. And this is a very important part of my own everyday life now and way of being, just feeling like I'm okay. I'm loved by a couple brothers and I just love connecting with them and good to know that they're there. You're the average of the people you keep around you. And my average is just jumping up, let me tell you. So a big thank you. We've got listeners from all over the world. That's been an unexpected surprise. You know, Switzerland, Zambia, America, obviously the UK. And we didn't expect that. And that's probably someone shared it or they saw it somewhere. The feedback's, like we said, just been really incredible. The suggestions, we do listen. We do take it on board. Even me sitting down, I'm very antsy, you know. I usually I like to be stood up and it helps me, but I'm humble enough to know that other people have, you know, the best intention and you've been really supportive out there. So appreciate you. Some of the words we might have said at the beginning, not just of this episode, but at the very beginning when we were outlining what Mentalk Ubuntu is about, have really come to be like etched on my heart. It is good and it is important that you are here, really stands out for me. And because I mean that if you're listening, it's good and it's important that you are here, no matter how you feel about what you've done this week with your life, whatever. Just the fact that you're here, the fact that you're listening is good. Just the fact that you're who you are No matter how you think you've treated people or people need to treat you, it's important that you are here. There's a reason you're here. I don't know what that is, but it's good and important that you're here. And I'm very glad you are. I want you to stay here and keep listening. Whew. I don't know, Ray. I think we'll leave them to listen to more, shall we say, in season 2.
Yeah, 100%.
What's our takeaway line for them? What's our takeaway line for them, Ray?
Oof.
It's okay not to be okay. And it's okay to connect with Mentalk Ubuntu when you're not okay. Take care. Hope you enjoyed listening as much as we enjoyed creating.
Don't forget to follow, like, share, and connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Subscribe to our latest episode and listen to any you missed. And tune in next episode.
Take care.